Hey guys, Brad Gilmore here. Want to give a big shout out to our title sponsor, Walker Texas Lawyer. If you or a loved one have been injured in an accident, whether that be a car, truck, motorcycle accident, or some kind of other issue, hit up Walker Texas Lawyer at 713-552-1117 or walkertexaslawyer.com.
Oh, Brad, what have you done now?
Broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and around the world. TV host, best-selling author, and radio personality Brad Gilmore brings you a collection of conversations with stars from movies.
Matthew McConaughey.
Brad Gilmore.
Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, how are you?
The legendary Mr. Christopher Lloyd. Christopher, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. Great introduction.
Television.
Jimmy Fallon joins us this morning. Jimmy, how you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Thank you so much, Brad, for having me. I appreciate this, bud.
Kelly Ripa.
Brad, thank you for having me.
Comedy.
Jay Leno joins us. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, Brad, what's going on?
Chris Tucker is in the building. Chris Tucker, good morning to you.
Hey, Brad. Good morning to you. How are you?
Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias.
Good morning.
Music.
Lola Monroe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The legendary frontman of AC/DC, Brian Johnson, joins us right now. Brian, how you doing?
Good morning, Brad. What looking to talk to me, funny lad.
Grammy Award winner Maya joins us.
How are you?
And more. This is The Collection. Now your host, The Boat.
Brad Gilmore!
Dan, Castor, thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations on the documentary.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
For taking a look.
Hey, Dan, if I could start with you, obviously when people hear of this story, I could see why you'd want to make a documentary about it. But what was the origin story? How did this kind of come across your desk? And when was the decision made to let's go and do this?
I'm going to throw that to Castor because he has the best origin story of it.
Castor, let's do it.
I just finished directing a feature film called Dark Horses about the 1989 Triple Crown. A friend of mine saw it. He said, if you like stories about horses, I've got a pretty good one for you. Introduced me to Joe Tone. I read Joe Tone's book. I read Melissa Del Bosque's book. Dan and I have been friends for years and years. I considered him to be a creative genius. He just finished a series called American Cartel. So it was self-evident, the project to take it to Dan and see what we could do with it. And I think at the end of the day, we're really proud with the 4 episodes we got out of it.
And look, Dan, now to go back to you on when you're going through this story and learning more about it, was there a particular aspect of it that as you started to do the research or had an interview with somebody who was involved that really floored you and shocked you more than others?
Yeah, I think I don't like to define things in the negative, but I think the first point was that I, in my heart and creatively, did not want to make a story about violence. And as Castor will tell you, and as I can tell you, people stop at the violence because the violence of these groups is depraved. It is horrifying. And it was, how do we tell a different story? And I think from talking to the IRS, from talking to the FBI, the more we peel back this onion is that we saw a sophistication that we were unaware of. And I think most people are unaware of. This is not people with guns. They are with guns and they are thugs, but there is something on the other side of this that is sophisticated. It is complex. It is using American systems for nefarious means. And that was what shocked me, is just how pervasive this economics is not the study of money, it's the study of incentive. And the incentive for them is to make money and power and influence. And we wanted to make that story, and seeing just how vast and how broad and how powerful that money, power, and influence is, that was what shocked me the most.
And Castor, you talked about coming off of a feature, and this is a question I have as far as a documentary process and making it, is I think when you have a screenplay or a script, it's a clear story. You kind of know where you're going to go to it, and everything's leading that way. From a docuseries, I don't think it'd be as cut and dry as that. Was the end product of Cowboy Cartel what you initially envisioned it, or did it change along the way as you had different interviews and more information?
I would be lying if I said I expected to be. It exceeded my expectations. I don't see it as a documentary series. It's almost cinema. The recreations are really powerful. The access is really something that you couldn't have expected. I mean, we've got everyone. In terms of the case itself, we followed the investigation. All we did was take it from the moment Scott joined the FBI to the guilty verdict. And the rest happened organically. So you have the benefit in documentary films. Mark Twain says truth is stranger than fiction because fiction has to make sense. We didn't have to write a screenplay. We just had to follow the order of events like they happened. And as unbelievable as they may seem, here's the footage, here's the archive, here's the document, here's the photo.
But is it difficult to find like the right sections of these interviews? Because I don't know how long each interview was with these different people who were involved in the story. I'm sure hours. Do you have like a clear through line that you want to do, and then you pick out the best pieces of it, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's our, Castor's talent as a filmmaker and my talent as a filmmaker. You have the story that you think that makes sense, that is the facts. You have their telling of that story, and then there's a coming together. When there's a trust and an understanding, is like that's where it blooms. And yeah, you come through that footage and you go back to the drawing board sometimes because you're like, it didn't quite happen that way. It happened in a more exciting way. You only make a story turn if the turn is even more exciting. And with this, every turn kept on being more exciting,
Well, it's an incredible story, an incredibly well-told documentary series. And like you said, Castor, it is very cinematic from the onset, and a lot of roots here in Texas where I am. So congratulations to you all again. And thanks for taking the time to chat with me today.
Appreciate it. Thank you.